Welcome back! Hopefully you all have a rough cut put together and you're ready to add some polish. In this video, we're going to cover how to add titles, transitions, color effects, time remapping, audio, and resizing your images. So let's start by taking a look at our project so far.
Do you want the coolest job on campus? Pick up an application today.
All right, so looking at that last part where TNA is telling us that we can pick up an application, we actually don't know where to get an application from. So I'm going to start by adding a title. Over here on the right-hand side, my first button helps me see all the different titles that we can add. So I'm going to use a title and I'm going to pick the subscribe title. And to use it, I'm just going to click and drag it on top of my video. So it's going to be overlaid on top of that. You also have the option, if you want it just on top of black, I can insert it into my timeline and you can see this is now on top of a black background. But I want it on top of TNA talking about that. So I'm going to move my subscribe now on top of that video. I'm just going to double click on the text. And you can see I'm currently going a bit off the screen. Over here on the right hand side where it says edit, I have different drop downs. These are all what makes up the shape that I'm seeing on the screen. So if I look at where my text is, where it says email dkeeler@oxy.edu, I'm going to twirl that down. And this gives me different options for what I want the font to be, the styling, and here's what I'm looking for, the size. So I'm going to take the size and just make it a little bit smaller. While I'm here, I'm also going to take my text and maybe move it up just a little bit. And that looks a little bit better. Let's play it back and see how it looks. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is add some transitions. So in the beginning, it kind of abruptly pops on the screen. My transitions are under my titles, so if I click on my transition button, I can see I have some really just basic transitions that I can add. I have a cross dissolve, I can dip to black or dip to white. So I'm going to add a cross dissolve in the beginning to kind of dissolve into the frame. I'm going to add it by clicking and dragging to place that transition in there. And I can also click and drag to make it longer or shorter and adjust the length of the transition. Let's see how that looks. Great, and it kind of gives us a little bit more of a gradual feel leading into the video. Underneath transitions, I have my color tab. This is a pretty powerful window and you can do a lot of different things. To use this, I'm going to first select a clip. So I can see the clip where they're talking in the sound booth is a little bit darker than the other clips around it. So what I'm going to do is navigate over to the Edit tab in the color window. And just like using Photoshop or any of the Adobe applications, I can adjust basic things like the exposure, contrast, highlight, shadows. So what I'm going to do is bring up the exposure just a little bit and just make some fine-tune adjustments. And I'm just going through my video and trying to make my colors feel a little bit more cohesive. So let's say that I have two similar clips and I've done some color adjustments on one. Rather than having to match all these numbers on the second one, I can create a preset. So we'll call this intro. And to apply it, I'm going to navigate to my other clip where I want that applied, go to my presets, and I'm going to click on my intro preset to apply it to that clip as well. One of the new additions to Premiere Rush is the ability to do time remapping and adjust the speed. To use this feature, I'm going to first select the clip. So in the beginning, we have this really cool shot where we're moving down the hallway, and then we come up to TNA, and TNA turns around and starts talking. Let's say that we want it to pretend like we're rushing down the hallway, and then she turns around. So what we want to do is apply a speed change to this. So the speed button is located just underneath that color tab, and I'm going to click it, And I have the option, rather than splitting the clip here, I can drag my speed duration to say I want my speed change to only affect the area up to before where she turns. And so if I drag this region, now I only have a speed change applied to this area. And then I can adjust how fast I want it to go. So it's currently playing at 100% speed. Let's try making it around 300% and see what that looks like. And that was pretty exciting. All right. So a couple of other things that we can do. We don't have any music yet. Premiere Rush actually comes with a really great music library that you can access by clicking on the blue button, because we're going to add some more media, and navigating to media. And instead of looking at Premiere Rush Media, that folder that I created, I'm going to go back to my media browser. And down at the bottom under favorites, you have a starred folder called Rush Soundtracks. So if I click on that, I have a lot of different options that I can choose. And to preview something, I'm going to click on this little pop out button, and then I can hit play to preview that music. You have a lot of different options to choose from. So I'm going to pick just this first one here. And to use it, it works the same way as importing our media from our first video. We can click and add multiple ones by ordering them before importing. Or if I'm just importing one at a time, I'm going to click and add. It's going to import my files, and notice it imported to where my cursor currently was in my timeline. So I'm going to click that and just drag back to the beginning of my clip. So you can see once I have my audio in here, we'll now have to work on some leveling. So I'm going to close this window on the side. I'm going to open up that track control that we covered in our first video. I have lots of different things that I can do in my audio tab. I'm going to first start by labeling my different sound areas. So where TNA is talking, I'm going to click on her audio and label that as voice. And then I'm going to make sure that my music is labeled as a music type. If you've brought in a clip and it got mislabeled, you can always change the type by clicking this drop down here. What's great about this is different audio types have different features that you can add. So for example, on voice, we can do things like reduce the background noise, which is great because we have an air conditioner that I can't turn off when we're filming. So we can check that. And you can also adjust the intensity of that with a slider. So let's say that you wanted to add a voiceover to your video. Voiceovers in Premiere Rush are really easy. All I'm going to do is navigate to where I want my voiceover to start. I'm going to arm the track for recording by hitting the microphone button. I'm going to mute my other audio so that I don't get distracted while recording. And when I press the record button, it'll give me a countdown. Here, I'm going to record a narration for what my students are doing. If you like video editing, want more hands-on experience with film equipment, and enjoy making new friends, this is the job for you. The final thing that I want to do is just reframe one of my video clips. I know that this is a bit nitpicky, but I can see in this clip we have some spots over here on the couch, and that's a bit distracting. And it's also a little bit hard to see what Harrison's doing in the bag, so I want to make this a little bit more prominent in the frame. So what I can do is select this clip, and my last tool over here on the right hand side is my crop and my rotate tool. So this is really great for resizing things, rotating things, scaling them up or down, or just repositioning your image. To use this, I'm going to first use the slider, and I'm going to zoom in on my video to try to get those big spots out of frame. And then I can even double click and move this around. If you're using a tablet or a mobile device, you can also use your fingers to rotate and zoom in and out of your video. All right, I think we're ready to export. So remember to save your project and save it often. And then I'm going to go over to the Share tab, and we're going to call this Premiere Rush Final. And then we're going to check whatever social media channels you also want to share to. And I'm going to click the export button to export my final video.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching. Click the link in the description below to explore more free online professional development on the Adobe Education Exchange. And click the link on screen to subscribe to the channel for more videos.